Hi everyone, I'm going to have a go at a sunset water scene in quite a painterly way. So I'm going to do a wet in wet background to start with and then come over with lots of dry marks. So it's going to be an interesting one because it'll be a new technique if it works. So I'm going to wet the paper. This is just a little bit of Saunders Waterford, nice cotton paper. It's about 5 by 7 inches. I'm going to wet the sky. This is my round number 10 that I'm using. And I've just got a little Cotman palette that I'm going to use today. I'll talk you through the colours as I go. So this one, the first one is cadmium yellow. So I'm going to bring that in as a base. Then dip straight into some cadmium red. So tonally this is changing as it's coming up. Then I'm going to go straight into some alizarin crimson. I'm going to rinse my brush a little bit there. And then this is cerulean blue. So I'm going to bring cerulean blue. And then a tiny touch of ultramarine blue just towards the top. Got a nice sort of tonal mix and shifting colour as it's coming up. Okay, so I'm just letting that settle a little bit, but I've got a cotton bud here, or an earbud, and I want to lift out a little bit of a sun whilst it's still damp. I'm going to use a little bit of kitchen towel over there so that I get a nice clear sun lifted. With the earbud itself, it can be too soft, so you can see that I've just lifted out that little bit there. So it's still nicely damp, and normally I would now be working into this sky whilst it was nicely damp, but this technique means that I'm doing things slightly differently, and it's really nice to push yourself to try these different techniques. So I'm going to leave a tiny gap of about 2 millimeters between the top and bottom, and I'm going to get a bit of a base in on the bottom as well. That dry line just means that they're not going to blend together. I don't want them to blend together. I'm going to start again with the cadmium yellow. Nice horizontal stroke. And that can come through all the land either side of this water. It's a very simple sort of semi-abstract scene. I've rinsed my brush off. I'm picking up a little bit of the cadmium red, bringing that through. This is all with my round number 10. Rinse my brush off again, picking up some of the cerulean blue. A little bit of the ultramarine. I'm basically reflecting the colours from the sky down below in the water. This is a little bit of the alizarin crimson. Some of that can slightly come through the blue. Okay, I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so that's thoroughly dry now. And this is now where this painterly technique comes in. So I need to make sure that when I'm mixing these colours that they are not too strong. So that's a little bit of the yellow. A little bit of the cadmium red. Going to make that yellow very slightly stronger. I want these to be fairly consistent. This is the alizarin crimson. I'm going to shift a little bit this way. You don't normally have to see this bit of my palette. This is a cerulean blue. I'm just using my round number 6. This goes against everything I've ever been taught in watercolour, what I'm about to do. But that's good, we're breaking the rules. And then this is the ultramarine. So it's those same 5 colours that I've used. I also need a little bit of purple, which will be the ultramarine and the alizarin crimson. So I've got a little bit of a purple there as well. So here we go. I'm going to stick with my round number 6. And we're going to come on fairly loose. We're going to start with the sky. Dabbing on. Try not to settle too far, too quickly. Don't keep going over the same section. You want to work and move on. That's a little bit of the cadmium red coming in. Cadmium red. Then into the alizarin. Tonally, you need to keep them very similar. These paints need to be quite wet. And you want loose strokes. Take a little bit of the dab of that back in. So I'm dabbing into the colours, but I'm just letting them do the thing. I'm not over-analysing, I'm not over-stroking, which is very hard. Take a few dabs of the cerulean blue on. Then we're going to get nice and dark up here. So this is the ultramarine blue. Blending through nice and loosely. I'm going to take a little bit of the purple in, so that's giving an additional dark just at the top. Okay, dry that one off. Okay, that's nicely dry. I'm going to do very similar now on the water. So this is the cadmium yellow, horizontal strokes with my round number 6, that same colour that we mixed up. Then a bit of the cadmium red. Just bring a little bit more of that in there. Random dabbing. A little bit of the cerulean blue. A little bit of the ultramarine blue. A little bit of this purple. It's again reflecting the colours from the sky. I'm also going to come down the edge of the bank with the purple. I need a little bit more yellow just in at the background here. Just got that little bit in. What colour have I not used the alizarin? We use a little bit of that within here as well. And then a little bit more of the purple. It's definitely a very interesting technique. It is making me nervous. But it appears to be sort of working. Okay, I'm going to dry that off. Okay, so that's dried again. I've actually swapped up to around number 10 because I don't think I'm working quick enough. So this is the cadmium yellow. I'm going to take in a little bit of the cadmium red. So I've got a mix now, and I think this will mean that I work quicker because I've got a bigger brush. So I'm going to start to take in a few marks. So I'm varying the pressure of my brush, and this is like another layer coming over, and it is much easier because it's quicker. This is the alizarin crimson. Paint some of that on. Just keep varying, my advice is just keep varying the pressure of your brush and don't think about it too much. If you think about it too much, you've had it. Okay, this is my purple again, which was alizarin crimson and ultramarine. Rinse that brush out. Just take a little bit more of the ultramarine in. With a style like this, you actually want it to create those hard edges, to create those watermarks. I'm going to come back into here with a little bit more of the orange. It's that same orange. A few horizontal strokes. A little bit more of the blue. Build that up, and a little bit of the purple. Okay, I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so this is coming together. I'm still reserving judgment of whether it's coming together nicely or not. So here I'm going to put some trees in here, so I want a little bit of a reflection of those trees, and I'm just using some purple. And I'm going to have a few grasses, so I'm going to have a little bit of a reflection there of some grasses, just to hold on basically to hold the surface of the water together, really. And just take a little bit more dark. This is just that purple on that bank. And hopefully that will hold that together quite nicely. An odd sort of stroke this way wouldn't go amiss either. Just to hold that together as the surface of the water. When you go further back, you want a different colour, so if I just use a little bit. There are a few little extra marks in the sky here. Okay, so I need a bit of a dark colour now to do a few background trees. So this is ultramarine, a little bit of burnt umber, and then this one's a bit of viridian, so it's just giving it a hint of green. I'm just going to come in, just do some background trees, nice and loose. Just either side. This is with my round number 6. It's coming pretty much on to dry. Nice dark colour, so it's silhouetted. You can see where the water's disappearing on the horizon. If I get a rigger and use some of this green, I'm just going to twizzle around and get a few branches on these trees. Okay, I'm going to dry that off before I carry on. Okay, so I'm going to come into each of these sides now. It's a little bit of water going on. Little bit of cadmium yellow, so I'm using my round number 10, keeping it nice and quick. If I was going to practice this again, I would definitely go with a bigger brush, because I think a bigger brush means you're looser and working quicker. So I'm going to come in with a little bit of ultramarine. I just want strokes, but I'm leaving gaps. And then this is that mix that I've used in the background, which is ultramarine, burnt umber and a bit of viridian. So there's a hint of green there, and I just basically want to get the line of the land. So a few nice strokes. The cadmium yellow should make it all look a little bit greener, which is what you want. I'm going to go to a rigger. Just going to stroke through some cadmium yellow, start to create that grassiness. Take a little bit more of the cadmium yellow towards the back as well. You want that nice light and dark contrast, so that nice yellow at the back is going to work really nicely. And this nice dark mix again. In fact, I'm going to make it a little bit darker, so I'm going to put more ultramarine and burnt umber in, so I can start to stroke through. And create a few grasses. This edge nice and dark. Okay, I'm dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry, and I'm going to pop in a couple of trees here. So this is with that same mix, which is ultramarine and burnt umber. I want this to be nice and dark. I'm going to use my rigger. In fact, I'm going to twizzle round to make it easier. Paint downwards. Just get a nice selection of branches in on these trees. That's working really nicely. Just make that a little bit darker. Pick up around number 6. Just bring a little bit of the cadmium red in. Got a little bit of shadow. It's just layering up the colour. Be a bit careful around these tree trunks, I don't want them to run. I'll dry that one off. Okay, so I think there's just a few sort of final tweaks now. It's a very interesting experiment suggested by a lady on Facebook, and I took the challenge. I'm going to add a little bit more into the water here. A little bit, just texture in the foreground on the water really, because I want a little bit more of a reflection there. And I'm going to get my rigger. This very dark colour again. Just see if I can get some additional grasses just into this foreground area. Just all about giving everything a little bit more depth there. Okay, I'll dry that off and take the tape off. And there we go, it's all finished. I'm going to go for a lie down now. That was quite hard. I hope you've enjoyed it. It just shows you can push yourself out of your comfort zone. I actually quite like it. And it wouldn't be what I'd normally do at all. If you've enjoyed it and you want to see some more of my videos, I'll pop you a playlist down here and a video just here, and I shall see you next time. Bye.